So it was my first area, and there was this family, and there was a guy who was a recent convert, and his name was Petty. What was his real name? I don't know. They called him Petty, which just means like he was a little guy, and everyone in the whole neighborhood loved him. It was probably the poorest neighborhood that was in that area. And it was, dirt roads and huts just kind of made out of wood. When it rained, it was just muddy and a disaster. And so this guy, Petty Custodio, would go out, and he was just kind of a handyman. He would fix stuff. He would, cut people's lawns. He was a gardener. And before he met the missionaries, he was, just kind of the town drunk. But after he met the missionaries, he used that enthusiasm that he had for life, and he really channeled it into the gospel. So he would, we'd go over to his house for lunch or dinner, and people would be walking down the street and they'd say, "Hey, Petty, how you doing?" And he'd say, "Oh, come over here. I want you to meet my friends." And they'd get in and realize like, "Oh, they're Mormons, right?" And, but eventually we started talking to Petty's neighbor. He was like, "Oh, you know what? You should go talk to my neighbor." And we said, "Yeah, of course." And it was a lady named Mabel. And, she came over, and she was illiterate, so it was really slow progression. But we started to teach her and stuff, and she ended up getting baptized. And that was great. We were really excited. And she had been married and separated from her husband, who was a guy named Jorge. And he started coming around when we were there. And originally he had come around to say, "Hey, I don't want you talking to those Mormons because they come from America and they're spreading, whatever." And Jorge was, he at first, when I first met him, he was a mean, scary guy. He was taller than me, which wasn't common down there. He was chain smoking cigarettes, and he just kind of had a nasty disposition. But, one day we were there, and we just left him the new Gospel Principles book. It had just come out. And we said, "Hey, Jorge, look, I know that you aren't super into us, but we just wanted to give you a book." And he said, "Well, a book? That's great. I mean, a book is kind of a sign of diplomacy. It's like, it's a nice gift." And we didn't think too much of it. We just thought, here's a book. And the next time we came back, he looked different. You could just tell that something was different with him. And we said, "Hey, Jorge, how's it going?" He said, "Guys, I finished that whole book you gave me." He thought, "Seriously? That's like, it was like a week ago or whatever." And he was like, "Yeah, I loved it. And I'm coming to church on Sunday and I want to quit smoking." We were like, "Okay, that's great." And he did, and it was a struggle for him. But we'd buy him mints, and we'd stop by every day. And we'd say, "Hey, Jorge, how you doing?" And he was coming to church, and it was really nice. I mean, it was weird because we weren't able to be there for the whole thing because the Gospel Principles book had taught him so much that we were just kind of reviewing it. We'd say, "Okay, Jorge, today we're going to talk about the word of wisdom." And he's like, "I can't drink tea or coffee, and I'm supposed to eat good foods." We were like, "Yeah, that's pretty much it." But it was really great to see just the difference in his countenance. Like I said earlier, he was kind of mean, kind of scary. And by the time it was coming around for him to get baptized, he was just the nicest guy. The whole ward loved him. And he had really changed. The reason he had originally split from his wife, Mabel, and they were living separately was because they were fighting, because he was a drunk, he was mean. And they were starting to spend a lot more time together. We'd walk by and they'd be sitting there drinking mate in the shade. And it was really cool to see him change as a person. And then it came time for him to get baptized. And I remember he kind of teared up a little. And he said, "Elder Kimball, will you baptize me?" And that was a really special moment for both of us. And he got baptized, and then that was my very first area in the mission. And I came back. My last area in the mission was just the next area over. So I got permission from the mission president. And I went back and we visited Jorge. And in the time that I had been gone, which was about 2 years, he had been endowed, his wife had been endowed, they'd been sealed, and he was the elders quorum president. And it was just amazing that, in the course of so little, a man who was in his 50s, late 50s, had changed from being this mean, drunk, scary chain smoker to the Elders Quorum president who is reaching out and benefiting other people's lives. And, you know, there's no way that I could ever take credit for his conversion because, you know, it was all between him and the Lord. But it was really, really awesome to be there and watch that change and see how much good it ended up doing.